Hi, I'm Dr. Alexandrina Vanke. I'm a sociologist, and in this episode, I would like to talk about my experience of doing observation and writing field notes and developing concepts throughout the process of writing field notes. But let's start with a discussion about what ethnography is. In its classical understanding, ethnography is an approach of research which implies an in-depth and complex exploration of cultures, world views, social worlds, meanings and practices of social groups, communities, nations, and in classical anthropology it was tribes. Participant observation means a method of qualitative research which implies building relationships and connections with the observed and explored community, to co-share experiences with them, to take part in their activities, and to describe and explain what these activities mean. Participant observation is usually done by the body of an ethnographer, and the body becomes a tool of observation, and participant observation activates the senses, imagination, feelings, and memory of an ethnographer. Observation can be supported by photographing or video recording. Sometimes researchers do audio records with a voice recorder or with the help of digital mapping, and so on. But in this video, I would like to focus on written field notes. Writing field notes is an integral part of participant observation, so it doesn't make sense to do observation or participation without writing field notes after the observation session is finished. As Paul Atkinson explains in Writing Ethnographically, field notes of various sorts are the backbone of so much fieldwork. The value of the field note lies precisely in the recognition that it is not a direct representation of a social reality that is totally independent of the observer as author. The field notes embody processes of observation and thought. Atkinson explains that writing field notes implies reflexivity, as well as observation has this reflexivity of a researcher, reflexivity about positionality, about research ethics as part of ethnographic practice and participant observation. After each observation session, a researcher writes a field note. Writing field note is informed by the approach of thick description suggested by anthropologist Clifford Geertz. Thick description includes the description, documentation of social practices, social worldviews of research participants, and their interpretations. The interpretations of cultural meanings situated within the contextual explanation. But let's consider real examples of observation and writing field notes after them. In my current research of everyday environmentalism of local communities in post-industrial cities through the example of Moscow, I do participant observation and volunteer at regular waste sorting eco-actions in one deindustrializing neighborhood of Moscow. These eco-actions usually take place in the open air, and they last for 1 hour or a bit longer. And this is a really good example of how a short observation session can be done, and then it takes time to document what a researcher observed. And at what things you can look while doing a participant observation. If to be closer to my key topic of everyday environmentalism, I look at the spatial composition and setting of the eco-action. I look at how people who come to give away their sorted rubbish interact with volunteers, how they interact with each other, and how the community is being created throughout this process. I also look and pay attention to what kind of meanings this waste sorting have, and how these meanings are emerging throughout conversations between people who take part in these eco-events. What can you document when you observe an event which is limited in time? You can document when this event started and when it ended and how long was your observation session. So field notes has this temporal dimension. I usually indicate when I did observation and when I write a field note. At the same time, I also write about my subjective perceptions and sensual experiences of doing participant observation and volunteering. For example, if it is winter, of course, the temperature is low and it's often snowy. So I describe my perception of the cold weather and how it is to and how it is felt to accept sorted rubbish from people who want to donate it to eco-centers for recycling. And if it is spring, of course, I sense the fresh air and the smell of flowers and trees which are awakening from winter. Or I have some sensorial experiences of dealing with somebody's waste, which also affects my sensorial perception of interactions with people and dealing with material objects. I don't mention people's names, or I do not describe any characteristics of people, but I can, for example, indicate that people with disabilities came to donate their rubbish. Or I can indicate and explain that people from different social backgrounds take part in eco-events. I focus mainly on the meanings, interactions, and I do not write in my field notes anything that would de-anonymize people with whom I interact. Another example of doing observation and writing field notes is related to my previous research on the lived experiences of working class communities in post-industrial neighborhoods of large Russian post-industrial cities. And when I did that research, which underlies my book, The Urban Life of Workers in Post-Soviet Russia, I focused on the special setting of deindustrializing neighborhoods. I focused on social activities of working class residents and middle class residents. I looked at how the space is used by different social groups inside one neighborhood, how courtyards, mini gardens are maintained by working class residents and middle class residents, how people interact or how people conflict with each other, or whether any cultural class ethnic tensions emerge within neighborhood communities. That's how you can focus on particular issues while you are writing field notes. Field notes can be structured and unstructured. Structured field notes implies that you focus on very precise themes, issues, topics, so it is focused. While unstructured field notes can contain everything what you want to write after an observation session. In my current work, in my current research on everyday environmentalism, I combine thematically structured field notes, and my field notes has sub-themes after each observation session. For example, if it is an observation related to waste sorting eco-action, I put this subtitle, I write what I observed unstructurally, and then I also write my methodological reflection under a subtitle of methodological reflection. And this methodological part of my field note includes my thoughts about my positionality, some ethical issues which arise during observation and interaction with research participants, or it can contain information about how I was conducting an interview. However, Paul Atkinson explains that indexing or coding field notes is not helpful for thinking. But when I was a PhD student at the University of Manchester, I was recommended to code my field notes with a qualitative software for coding, and I did thematic analysis. But Atkinson explains that field notes should be treated as a document which helps you to think throughout the process of writing about your research and how you develop relationships with participants, with communities, and that's how interpretations and iterative analysis is occurring. In my current research, I would like to use more this interpretative approach to field notes, and I read some parts of my field notes when I start writing publications. I reread some extracts, and this helps me to think further about how I can interpret social practices of waste sorting, or how I can connect different examples of environmental activities, let's say waste sorting, urban gardening, cleaning local neighborhoods or courtyards, or maintaining them, with the broader topic of everyday environmentalism, which is a concept. And that's how I'm trying to connect different examples with the help of an umbrella concept, which I develop throughout the process of my research and also writing field notes. Reflecting on the process of transformation of observed things into thoughts and ideas throughout the process of writing field notes, Paul Atkinson stresses that the field notes does not contain those ideas in the sense that one can inspect it extract chunks and segments and put them together in a mechanical way. In my current research of everyday environmentalism of local communities, I develop through ethnographic writing some concepts which I worked with in my book, The Urban Life of Workers in Post-Soviet Russia. And these concepts are everyday struggles and structure of feeling. I have some concepts in my mind, and this is based on my previous research, but also on reading research literature. Then I go to the field, I do observation, and while I'm writing field notes, I'm already thinking about how I can connect some observed patterns, practices, values, moralities with the help of the concepts of everyday struggles, everyday environmentalism, structure of feeling, and some other concepts which are related to the theme of the everyday. Then in my publications, I continue analyzing my data, my observational data, together with interviews, and I continue developing these concepts in my articles and other publications. I hope that sharing my experience of doing ethnographic observation and writing field notes and developing concepts has been helpful for you. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next episodes.